The snow was falling so quietly, as if afraid to disturb my evening, when I pulled into the Riverside Country Club parking lot at 6:15 p.m. on Christmas Eve. The building glowed with a warm golden light, the windows adorned with delicate white garlands and tiny lights. Honestly, the club looked like it had just been cut out of an expensive Christmas card. I was wearing a dark green dress, simple, not ostentatious, but incredibly cozy, and my grandmother's pearl necklace, the one detail that always gave me confidence. Nothing flashy, nothing flashy. I knew better. Around my family, it was safer to blend into the background. A crowd of people gathered at the parapet. Cars pulled up one after another. Shiny BMWs, polished Mercedes, 11 out of 10 Bentleys. I drove past this moving advertisement campaign of wealth and parked in the back of the lot. My modest 4-year-old Subaru looked like a teenager who'd accidentally wandered into an aristocratic reception. But I'd long since gotten used to it. When I approached the front entrance, I saw them, my family, huddled near the door. My father stood in the center in his perfectly tailored suit. Next to him, my mother, in a scarlet cocktail dress that probably cost 2 months' rent. A little further away, Derek and his impeccably put-together wife Cynthia, both as perfect and expensive as ever. "Emma," my father said as I climbed the steps. There was no hint of warmth in his voice. "Hi, Dad. Merry Christmas." "Emma, we've had a change of plans." I froze. "What changes?" "Members-only dinner tonight," he said, crossing his arms. "Rules, especially strict on holidays." "But I'm family," the thought flashed through my mind. "You're family, not a member," my father stated, as if he'd already anticipated my objection. My mother bowed her head, and her smile was cold. "The club has standards, dear. Do you understand?" Derek took a step forward, as if trying to soften the blow. Don't make it complicated. We warned you. We've raised the membership level. Platinum. A very exclusive group." "You only said there was a Christmas dinner here and that I needed to come," I reminded him quietly. "Nothing about members only." "Circumstances change," Cynthia said lazily, examining her perfect manicure. "Platinum members have priority during peak hours. The club can't allow outsiders to fill the room. It ruins the atmosphere." "Clutter," I repeated. "Do you understand what she means?" my mother interjected. "It's about maintaining a standard. People pay for quality and expect it." "I see," I breathed out. My father's face softened slightly, which only made it all the more humiliating. "Emma, we're not trying to be harsh. Just the facts. You're not on our level. You work for this nonprofit. You live in a tiny apartment. You drive," he waved his hand toward the parking lot, "well, this car. The club is for people who have achieved a certain status." "And it turns out I haven't achieved it," I said. "Not yet," my mother said, in a tone as if she were giving me a discount on a product. "Maybe someday. But today, you should look for something simpler. Applebee's, for example. They're nice on Christmas Eve." Derek shifted from foot to foot. "Emma, don't take it personally. This isn't against you. It's about standards." "Standards," I repeated. "Exactly," Cynthia perked up, "like a dress code in restaurants. This is a membership code. It makes perfect sense." A couple passed us. The man smiled at my father. "George, I'm looking forward to dinner. Patricia, you look as beautiful as ever." "And have a good evening, Harold," my mother replied, her voice unexpectedly warm. As soon as they entered, her face froze again. "Emma, you really have to go. People are staring. It's awkward." "For whom?" I asked. "For everyone," my father said sharply. "We're building important connections here. You're standing here like this? It looks bad." "Like I'm a beggar," I said quietly. "Don't be dramatic," her mother snapped. "Social hierarchies are real. You're 30, Emma. You should understand that." I looked at them all. My father, like a doorman, guarding the entrance from an unworthy daughter. My mother, embarrassed by the very fact that I existed. My brother, uncomfortable, but not so uncomfortable that he could speak. Cynthia, enjoying my humiliation. "Okay," I said. "I'll leave." "Good girl," my mother said, already turning away. "Maybe next year you'll rise to our level." I turned and walked back toward the parking lot, my heels crunching softly on the snow crust. Behind me, I could hear my family greeting the other guests. Warm, joyful, the kind I never get from them. I'd only taken 3 steps when I heard quick footsteps. "Miss Anderson, wait!" I turned around. Richard Chin, the club director, was practically running out the door. Usually calm and collected, he looked like he'd been doused with cold water. "Richard, everything's fine," I began, but he quickly shook his head. "This is not fine at all," he breathed, turning his gaze to my petrified family at the entrance. "What's going on? Why are you leaving?" "Members only tonight," I said quietly. "They've already explained everything to me." Richard's expression faltered. Worry gave way to confusion. "Members only?" he repeated, clearly incredulous. "We don't have such a policy on Christmas Eve. Yes, everything is booked today, but that's because—" He broke off, staring at my family as if he were just now realizing the magnitude of the absurdity. "Did you tell Miss Anderson she can't come in?" "Look," my father stepped forward, putting on his signature mask of self-importance. "I don't know who you think you are, but we are Platinum members, and we have every right to decide who we dine with. I'm Richard Chin, the club director. We've met several times, Mr. Anderson," he reminded me evenly, "when you applied for membership." "Exactly," my father lifted his chin. "So you know, we are valued members, and we say today's meal is for members only, for our family only." "For your family only," Richard repeated slowly. His gaze slid to me, then back to them. "Mr. Anderson, do you know who Miss Anderson is?" "Of course I do," my father snapped irritably. "She's my daughter. And while we love her, she's not a member and can't come in today." "Mr. Anderson," Richard began carefully, "Emma Anderson isn't just a member, is she?" "She's not a member at all," Cynthia interrupted, grimacing. "That's exactly what we're explaining." "No, Mrs. Anderson. I mean, Emma Anderson is far from just a member." Richard's voice became firm, almost surprised. "She's the owner." A silence fell, so thick it seemed the snow had stopped falling. "Who?" Mother choked out. "The owner," Richard repeated calmly. "Ms. Anderson owns Riverside Country Club for the last 6 years. Derek gave a nervous laugh. "That's impossible. Emma works for a nonprofit. She barely makes $40,000. "I work for a charity," I corrected gently, "but I never said that was my only job." "But you—" Mother looked at me as if she were seeing me for the first time. "You drive a Subaru." "I like my Subaru." "And you live in a 2-bedroom apartment." "I like my apartment." My father blushed so sharply as if he'd been slapped. "There's some kind of mistake. Emma can't own a country club. Look at her." "Mr. Anderson," Richard's voice wavered, not from doubt, but from barely contained irritation. "There's no mistake. Ms. Anderson acquired the club 6 years ago through Anderson Holdings, LC. She owns the building itself, the fields, the courts, all the assets." A woman in an elegant pantsuit emerged from the door. Her name tag read, Sharon Mitchell, Assistant Director. "Richard, is everything all right?" Several members are asking about the commotion. "Sharon, confirm Ms. Anderson's ownership status to my family." Sharon frowned, but upon seeing me, she nodded quickly. "Miss Anderson, I didn't know you were here, of course." She turned to my relatives. "Emma Anderson is the sole owner of Riverside. She's incredibly generous to the staff and the club's traditions. We're incredibly lucky." "That's absurd," Cynthia exclaimed. "How could Emma afford to buy the club?" "Just like everything else," I said. "I worked." "You said you worked for a nonprofit." "Yes, the Anderson Foundation, which I founded 8 years ago," I explained, "after I sold my software company." Derek's jaw dropped. "You sold the company?" "Founded it at 22, sold it at 26 for $43 million. Part went to the foundation, the rest to investments, including the club." 43, my mother echoed. "That's the starting price. With options and bonuses, it was closer to 60, I added calmly. But putting specifics into monetary terms always sounds vulgar." My father slumped on the step as if the wind had been knocked out of him. You've had $60 million for 6 years and you haven't said a word to us. You didn't ask, I shrugged. You chose to decide for yourself that I'm poor, because I don't wear my wealth on my forehead. But why? My mother whispered. Why live so modestly if you have money? Because I like my life, my apartment, my car, my job. I like helping people, not competing for status, I said, feeling my chest lighten with the truth. Richard cleared his throat, choosing his words. Miss Anderson, please forgive me. If I had known your family was trying to keep you out, I would have intervened immediately. It's fine, Richard. You couldn't have known. That's not fine, he said sharply, turning to his father. Mr. Anderson, we need to have a serious conversation about the club's rules of conduct. The rules of conduct? His father jumped up. We're platinum members. We've invested a lot of money. You invested $12,000, Richard clarified dryly. That's the standard platinum rate, and it requires respect for all members. We weren't insulting anyone, Cynthia snapped. We were simply explaining the situation. The situation, Sharon said icily, is that you didn't allow the club owner onto her own property on Christmas Eve. A man in a dark suit, serious as a rock, approached the group. His name tag read, Thomas Warren, head of security. Richard, we have a problem brewing. Several members have gathered in the lobby asking what's going on. Some people are worried. Nothing's going on, my father said quickly. A simple family misunderstanding. It's all sorted out now. Emma, dear, why don't you join us for dinner? We'd be delighted to see you. I looked up at him. His face, haughty and stony a second ago, now looked as if the world was crumbling beneath his feet. No confidence, just sheer despair. Really? I asked quietly. Of course, your family. We just didn't quite understand the situation. The situation where I own this building. That's not what I meant. But that's exactly what you all mean now. 5 minutes ago, I was unsuitable to enter. And now, as it turns out, I'm the mistress of it all, and suddenly, a welcome guest. Emma, don't complicate things, my mother interjected, but her voice wavered. We were mistaken. Can't you just forgive a mistake? A mistake, I asked. Is that what we call it now? The doors swung open, and another figure stepped out. An older man in a perfectly tailored suit, leaning on a cane. It wasn't hard to recognize him. Charles Peyton, the club's board president. What the hell is going on here? He barked. Richard, the guests are waiting for tables and half the staff is standing by the entrance watching some drama. Mr. Peyton, Richard stammered, I apologize for the disturbance. There was an incident involving Miss Anderson. Charles' face changed instantly. Emma, what happened? Are you okay? I'm fine, Charles. Just a little misunderstanding with my family. He glanced at them, and his eyes darkened. What misunderstanding? The kind where they told me I couldn't enter because I wasn't a member, I said, almost in a whisper. Charles was turning purple right before my eyes. They did what? It was a mistake, my father blurted out. We thought only members could enter today. There's no such policy, Charles snapped. And even if there was, Emma Anderson could walk in here at any time for any reason, because she owns every inch of this club. He turned to Richard. Give me their status. Richard pulled out his phone and tapped the screen several times. George and Patricia Anderson, platinum members, joined 8 weeks ago. Annual dues of $12,000, paid. Applying for Heritage Club status with access to private rooms and priority golf. Heritage Club, Charles drawled. Is that pending before my committee? Yes, sir. And we were planning to make a decision after the holidays, right? Correct. Charles turned to my parents, his voice turning icy. Did you know that this status requires not just money, but also proven nobility of character, involvement in the club's life? Yes, my mother breathed. So you decided that refusing to let the club owner into her own building on Christmas Eve demonstrates nobility? We didn't know she was the owner, Cynthia shrieked. She never told us. She let us think she was poor. I never said I was poor, I replied calmly. You made that up, because I don't drive expensive cars or wear brands with flashy logos. I just didn't see the point in trying to convince you otherwise. I didn't care what you thought. It didn't matter, my mother whispered. Emma, we're family. Really? Because family doesn't usually send me to Applebee's while they dine at the country club. Derek stepped forward. Emma, come on. This has gone too far. Yes, we were wrong. We admit it. Let's just go in, have dinner, and talk it over. Discuss it? I smiled bitterly. You want to erase the last 6 years? Pretend they didn't make fun of my tiny apartment, my starter car, and my entry job? Pretend they didn't just kick me out of the building I own? We didn't know you owned it. Exactly. You didn't know, but you still considered me beneath you. And now the only thing that's changed is you found out I have money. I'm the same Emma I was 10 minutes ago, but 10 minutes ago I was unworthy of your platinum dinner. A young club employee appeared. Mr. Chin, forgive the interruption, but guests are asking about Ms. Anderson. The Robertson family wants to say hello, and the Martinez group wants a photo. A photo? The father repeated dumbly. The employee was clearly embarrassed. Ms. Anderson is very popular among the club members. She regularly attends events and has personally funded 3 scholarships for local students. Many consider her a friend. You come here regularly? Mother whispered. Once every few weeks. I enjoy following the club's progress and participating in the community. But we've been members for 2 months. How come we haven't seen you yet? Yes, I answered calmly. 3 times. In the parking lot, you drove past and didn't even acknowledge me. In the lobby, where you bragged to your friends and pretended I wasn't there. And on the terrace, where you joked that even the staff here are better dressed than some families. Mother turned pale. Is this about you? I was sitting 2 tables away. Richard's face hardened. Miss Anderson, please allow me to apologize for the way you were treated. It's unacceptable. It's okay, Richard. No, it's not okay. Thomas, a full background check of all interactions between the Anderson family and the club's staff and members today. Yes, sir. Thomas was already reaching for his radio. Wait, Father exploded. You can't investigate us as criminals. We're platinum members. We donated to the club. You simply paid your dues, Charles snapped. They're not donations, and frankly, Mr. Anderson, your behavior today makes me doubt you even understand what this club is all about. A couple slowly approached us from the parking lot, solid, elegant, as if they'd stepped out of a Christmas card. The man smiled warmly at me, as if we were old friends. Emma, how lovely to see you. Will you be joining us for Christmas dinner tonight? Hello, Dr. Robertson, Mrs. Robertson. I haven't decided yet. We really hope you'll join us, he said. Sarah was just saying we always miss you at our table. You're such a wonderful conversationalist. They walked inside, leaving a soft cloud of respect behind them. My mother watched them go, as if trying to figure out where and when I could have met such people. Do you know the Robertsons? She asked, dumbfounded. Of course. They've been with the club for 30 years. Dr. Robertson sits on the Foundation's board of directors with me. On the Foundation's board of directors, my mother repeated, as if the words jarred on her ears. The Anderson Foundation has 12 members. All are leaders in our community. We distribute approximately $8 million each year to education and medicine. 8 million? Derek exhaled as if someone had hit him in the throat with ice water. Another family passed by. Emma, Merry Christmas. Happy holidays to you too, Mr. Tanaka. Followed by another. Miss Anderson, my daughter asked me to thank you for the scholarship. She's doing brilliantly at Princeton. I'm so glad to hear that, Mrs. Chin. Give her my congratulations. With each greeting, my family seemed to shrink. People I'd worked with, talked to, and helped for years. It turns out I have a whole life my family never bothered to ask about. Sharon's radio crackled to life. She listened to the message, then turned to Richard. Sir, there's a situation brewing in the dining room. Several members are inquiring about the delay in seating, and the Anderson table has become the center of attention. The center of attention? Cynthia paled. The Robertson family was asking the others if they'd heard about the altercation at the entrance, Sharon explained. The conversation spread. Charles snorted disapprovingly. Of course it did. Emma, I'm so sorry. This club is supposed to be a place of respect. It usually is, I said. It's just an unusual evening. You're too generous, he replied. Then he turned to his parents. Mr. and Mrs. Anderson, your behavior today will inevitably be a topic of discussion at the Heritage Club Committee. Discussion what? Dad's voice trembled. Like whether people who treat the club owner like that are eligible for upgraded membership, or even membership at all. Mother gasped. You can't cancel us. We've paid for the whole year. And we have the right to cancel membership for misconduct, Charles said coldly. Clause 12, paragraph 3. Your signatures are there. Richard looked at his phone again, opening their file. Besides, there are several complaints in the system. Complaints? Derek repeated gloomily. 3 complaints from waiters about neglect, 2 from parking attendants about rudeness, and 1 from the golf course superintendent about damaged turf that no one reported and for which no one paid. It was an accident, Cynthia shouted. Accidents that are hushed up become a pattern, Richard snapped. And now, on top of that, there's an attempt to ban the owner from her property. Miss Anderson, what do you want us to do? Everyone fell silent. My family looked like they were on the brink of disaster. The staff looked at me as if they were ready to stand up straight. Charles looked like he was ready to throw my parents out himself. I'd like, I said slowly, to have dinner on Christmas Day. Of course, Richard replied without hesitation. Your usual table? Dr. and Mrs. Robertson invited me to theirs. I'll join them. They'll be honored. And the Anderson Company? Sharon asked, glancing at my family. I looked at them all. The expensive outfits, the jewelry. It all suddenly looked cheap, empty. The Anderson Company is staying for their dinner, I said, at the table they reserved. My father breathed a sigh of relief. Thank you, Emma. Thank you. However, I continued, their membership status is frozen pending the investigation. Richard, please forward any new complaints about the Anderson family to me personally. Acknowledged. And Charles, I wish to bring a new policy to the next board meeting. Any member who discriminates based on the perceived economic status of a guest or member is to be immediately suspended. I'll put it on the agenda, he said, a dark amusement creeping into his tone. And one more thing. The Anderson Company's application for Heritage Club status has been denied, indefinitely. Mother choked. Emma, please. We made a mistake. It was just one mistake. Don't take it away from us forever. Heritage status isn't a punishment. It's an honor, and you haven't earned it. But everyone we know has that status, Cynthia cried. What will we look like? Like people facing the consequences, and I think it would be incredibly awkward for you. I paused. Maybe you should try Applebee's? Mother made a muffled sound, a mixture of pain and humiliation. Thomas picked up the radio and looked at Richard. Sir, several families would like to speak with Miss Anderson. The Martinezes, the Patels, the Johnsons. Tell them I'll be right there, I said. I need to finish up here. Ms. Anderson, Sharon began carefully, the Anderson Company table is currently in the very center of the room. Perhaps we should move them to a more secluded area? I paused. My family froze as if their lives depended on it. No, I finally said. Let them stay. Let them dine in public. Emma, don't do this, Derek whispered. People will ask why we're not sitting with you. Of course they will. And what will you tell them? He was silent. Tell them the truth, that you didn't let your own sister into the club she owns, because you decided she wasn't good enough. And now you sit there, eat, and think about what kind of people that makes you. That's cruel, Cynthia breathed out. Really? Or is this just the natural consequence of what you did? Another group moved toward us from the parking lot, a young couple, 2 small children, all bundled up, beaming, like a living Christmas poster. Miss Anderson, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas, Taylor. Josh, hi. Emma, hi. I waved to the children, and their smiles lit up in response, as if someone had switched them on. "The kids wanted to thank you again for the donation to the playground," Taylor said. "It's been a real gift to the whole neighborhood." "I'm glad to hear it. Have a wonderful evening." They disappeared inside, the kids chattering about Santa and presents. My father watched them go, then turned to me as if he saw not his daughter, but a stranger. "A donation for the playground?" he croaked. "The elementary school needed new equipment. The foundation paid for it, $400,000. $400 for the playground," he repeated, as if tasting the words. "It's a great playground, Dad. Safe, accessible, enriching. The way kids should be." My mother's voice dropped to a near whisper. "Why didn't you tell me you were involved in this kind of thing? You never asked me what my life was like. You were satisfied with the image of me lounging around, not comparing bags and cars." Richard's phone trembled, and he glanced at the screen. "Miss Anderson, someone at the Robertsons' table is asking when you'll be joining. Should I tell them you'll be late?" "No, I'm ready." I took a few steps, but stopped. "Oh, one more thing. Richard, what's the Anderson Company's drink bill?" "Platinum membership. They currently receive 25% off food and drinks." "Cancel the discount. Effective immediately. Standard prices only." "Emma," my father sighed. "Platinum members get discounts due to their status in the community," I said. "And yours, I imagine, is a little shaky. Isn't that right?" I moved toward the entrance. Richard and Sharon walked side by side, Charles behind. Thomas stayed with my family, likely to escort them to their table. As we entered the warm, lavishly decorated Christmas lobby, I immediately felt eyes on them. The members clearly noticed that something remarkable had just happened at the door. Someone waved, someone else shouted a greeting. "Miss Anderson," Richard said quietly, "what should we do next? Your family, their membership." "Stick to the current contract, but make it clear, renewal is not guaranteed. Only with improved behavior and contributions to the community. And if not, well, then they'll have their next Christmas dinner elsewhere." Sharon leaned a little closer to me. "Confidentially, I hope they don't improve. Seeing them explain to their friends why their membership wasn't renewed would be divine." I couldn't help but smile. "That's unprofessional, Sharon." "I know, but it's still nice." We approached the doors of the Great Hall. Through the doorway, I saw the Robertsons already waving to me. At the same time, I saw my family being seated closer to the center. My mother's pale face, my father's weary, almost broken expression. "One last thing," I said to Richard. "I need a full debrief after the holidays. Every interaction my family has had with staff and other members since joining. Everything. I want to understand if this is a pattern or just today's spectacular failure." "It'll be here by the 27th, he promised. "Thank you. And Richard, Merry Christmas. You handled it with remarkable calm today." "Thank you, Ms. Anderson. It's just a shame the situation was like that." "Me too." I walked into the room. The Robertsons stood to greet me. Dr. Robertson himself pulled out my chair. "Emma, we're so glad you're here. Thank you for inviting us." As I sat down, I could easily spot my parents' table out of the corner of my eye. They were practically clutching the menu, as if it held the plan to save the universe, and desperately avoided everyone's eyes. The neighboring tables whispered, casting quick glances back and forth between them and me. Mrs. Robertson noticed my glance. "Everything okay, dear? I think there was something at the entrance." "Just a family melodrama," I said. "Not fatal." "Family," she sighed. "Sometimes the most difficult relationships in life." "Sometimes," I agreed. The waiter approached with champagne. "From the chef, Miss Anderson. He sends his warmest regards. Give him my thanks." Across the room, I noticed my mother looking at it all. At me, at the champagne, at the way they were greeting me. Confusion and quiet pain intertwined on her face. My father was already asking the waiter something, no doubt checking the prices now that their discount had evaporated. Derek sat with his arms folded, and Cynthia glanced around nervously, aware that they were being discussed. Dr. Robertson raised his glass, a toast to kindness, generosity, and the true spirit of the holiday. To kindness, echoed everyone around him. I raised my glass, and for the first time that evening, I smiled as I truly felt. The rest of the dinner flowed easily. The Robertsons were warm and witty, telling stories about their grandchildren and their trip to Italy. Club members approached, wishing them happy holidays and thanking them for the Foundation's projects. I felt like I was among people who truly shared and respected each other. And my family sat in almost complete silence. I glanced at them from time to time, not to celebrate, but rather with a quiet, bitter curiosity. Were they always like this? Or had I simply been too desperate to live up to it before to notice? Around 9:30, as dessert was being served, Richard quietly approached me. He leaned over so discreetly, as if he were simply straightening the tablecloth. "Ms. Anderson, the Anderson Company is asking for the check. They want to leave right now." Dinner usually lasts until 11 on Christmas Eve. Yes, it looks awkward. I suppose so. I thought for a moment. Bill them at the regular rate, as we discussed. And Richard, add a line item to the itemized receipt for the discount they would have received as Platinum members, and then a line item for its cancellation. I want them to see how much their behavior today has cost them. A faint, almost conspiratorial smile flickered across Richard's lips. Understood. About 10 minutes later, I saw my parents rise from the table. My father was holding the receipt, and his face was literally turning red. He abruptly tossed something at the waiter, who remained calm as ice and pointed toward the exit, to Richard, standing with a clipboard, obviously ready to explain the calculations. I watched as my father began to argue, as my mother tugged at his sleeve trying to pull him away, as Derek held out his credit card with a trembling hand, and Cynthia practically ran toward the exit, her head down. They didn't glance in my direction once as they left. Dr. Robertson also noticed what was happening. "Your friends?" he asked softly. "Family." "Ah," he said, stopping short, and I was truly grateful. "Well, their departure is fortunate for us. We've thoroughly enjoyed your company. Thank you." Mrs. Robertson leaned over to touch my hand. "Emma, whatever happens, know this. The people here value you, not just your work, not just the fact that you own the club. We value you personally. You're kind, sincere, thoughtful. Those qualities are much rarer than money." My eyes suddenly stung. "Thank you, really, thank you. Merry Christmas, dear. And to you, too." I stayed until almost 11. We chatted, laughed, and other families joined us. People who truly knew me and valued me not for my status, but for who I was as a person. As the evening drew to a close and I was finally about to leave, Charles caught up with me in the lobby. "Emma, just a moment." "Of course." He led me to a quiet corner. "I wanted to tell you that I've already started documenting today's incident for the board. Your family's behavior is inexcusable, and I intend to see consequences." "Thank you, Charles. I appreciate it. And also, I want to apologize. As board president, I should have been more vigilant about how new members treated staff and other members. The fact that they behaved inappropriately for 2 months without responding is my fault. No, they're just good at putting on a front for those they care about. The rest is another story. Even more, they have no place among the club's members," he said sternly. "With your permission, I'd like to propose an immediate revocation of membership. No renewal." I considered this. 2 Emmas warred within me. One wanted to say yes without hesitation, while the other, the one who had built the foundation on ideas of growth and second chances, was hesitant. "Let's wait," I said. "Let's see if they get anything out of this evening. If their behavior improves, really improves, maybe they deserve a chance. If not, let's get back to this." Charles nodded slowly, like someone who thinks I'm too kind. "You're more forgiving than I would be." "Perhaps. Or maybe I just want to see if they're capable of changing when they finally have to face the consequences. An honest experiment, although I don't have much faith in its success." "Neither do I admitted. but it's better to be pleasantly surprised than to be proven right that they don't change." He smiled a little warmer. "That's why the club is lucky to have you. Merry Christmas, Emma." "And to you too, Charles." I stepped out into the chill air. The snow had stopped falling, leaving everything under a fresh, white, sparkling blanket. In the parking lot, my modest Subaru looked almost touching among the shiny, expensive cars. I sat down and lingered behind the wheel for a moment, letting everything that had happened sink in. My phone vibrated. A message from my mom. "We need to talk about tonight." Not an apology, not an admission, just a demand for my attention. As always. I deleted it. Then came my brother. "Emma, please, let's fix this." I stared at the screen for a long moment, then typed, "Nothing to fix, Derek. You showed me who you are today. I believe you." I turned off my phone and started the engine. As I drove away, I glanced in the mirror. The country club glowed behind me, warm, welcoming, full of people who value kindness over status. My family tried to close the doors on me. They just didn't understand that I had the keys to everything. And tomorrow they'll wake up to a world where everyone they were trying to impress will know full well what they did today. I smiled and headed home, to my cozy apartment, to the quiet life I chose for myself, not the one my family envisioned for me. Sometimes the best gift to yourself is to stop living by the expectations of others, even if those others are your family, especially if they are your family.